Update: neighbor tried to ruin my life and send me to jail on a false accusation. I have video proof and a lawyer now. Original post: I've been a tenant at my current apartment for 2 years. The apartments are the nicest in my area, and I pay quite a good chunk in rent monthly for a 1-bedroom, 1-bathroom. Everyone in my building has been pretty chill. There's 8 units total, occasional one-off things but nothing serious, until recently. Old downstairs neighbor left, new downstairs neighbor moved in shortly after, about 2 to 3 weeks ago. Main problem is her kid cries pretty much all day and has a tendency to scream quite a bit. The crying isn't something I'm interested in complaining about, but the screaming definitely warrants addressing because it's clear she's not trying to teach her kid to not scream. It seems more behavioral, not a newborn screaming. I can see the screaming becoming a bit of a problem in the long run. Is it reasonable to tip my landlord or apartment off that this is what I'm noticing? And if it becomes a problem in the future, I'd like to address it? I feel like it's reasonable because it creates a track record. Now for the top comments before reading the update. Kid, as in months old, under 1, not walking yet? That's what infants do. If so, cut that poor woman some slack. Yes, the kid is walking. I forgot to mention the kid and mom were outside yesterday, and the kid was screaming a hell of a lot. I was on my deck. The kid was definitely walking on his own. I'm going to be completely honest though. I have no experience with kids and don't know what exact age that would narrow it down to. Maybe 2 to 4? All these people being like, oh, you can't stop a kid from yelling, would 100% be complaining about someone's dog. I'd rather hear a dog barking than a kid yelling any day. At least they usually stop eventually. Preach. That's exactly what I've been thinking this entire time. But most of these people on Reddit would chew you alive for saying that, so I'm glad you said it. If I had a dog that was barking all day and being a nuisance, it would definitely be on me to either get a single family home or find some resolution to fix it. Get recordings. Get statements from other tenants. It's amazing how collected recordings can save your sanity. We actually took our outdoor cameras down. They deterred nothing at all, and now rely on our phone for recordings. It actually works better because we can hide behind our curtains and record. Now for the update. About 3 weeks ago, I decided to start recording the screams of my neighbor's 3 to 4-year-old kid and reported it to management. Management talked to them, and the downstairs neighbor said she would work on it. The neighbor the next day then made a retaliatory complaint about me saying I walk loud. I'm on the top floor, she's on the bottom. The neighbor left for 9 days and took the kid somewhere else. I thought, wow, maybe they broke the lease and now I'm free of these gremlins. But something in my gut told me this isn't over yet. These types of people are just too dumb and too self-righteous to leave without a fight. So, expecting a war, I purchased and installed 2 Nest cameras inside my apartment, which pick up audio and video 24/7 with cloud storage for 10 days. Yes, I was that sure I was dealing with a reckless person and had to protect myself. When she got back about a week and a half ago, boy did she come back with a vengeance. She started pounding on my floor, her ceiling, with a broom handle or something at all hours of the day, not because I was overly loud, but because she was retaliating against the complaint I originally made, and she was pissed. Every time she banged, I got more footage. It's funny because in the videos, I'd narrate myself explaining the entire situation while she was banging on my floor. Sometimes I'd be in the kitchen eating a Dunkin' sausage, egg and cheese croissant, walk over to the camera and start saying, yes, today is May 22, 2025 at 3:02 p.m. As you can clearly hear, my neighbors downstairs are banging in retaliation to a noise complaint I submitted about them, and just go on these mini rants to the camera. Then things escalated on Sunday, and she would not stop pounding on my floor around 10:30 p.m. She would pound 6 to 8 times, chill for a bit, then go right back to it. I have to say, I admire her consistency, but I'd had enough at this point. I don't pay $1,300 a month in rent to deal with this crap. So I called the non-emergency police line, waited 45 minutes outside my apartment, and let the cops in to ask her what's going on with the noise. She refused to answer the door to the police, but I still got a police incident number and plan to pick up the incident report in person on Tuesday because the police station documentation office was closed on Memorial Day. The next day, Monday, I heard loud knocking on my front door. Strange. Maybe it was the gremlins finally coming to confront me? I ignored it for a minute and it kept going on. So I said, go away, while showing the Nest camera timestamp on my phone in case it was them. Then they announced they were, insert my town police department. Damn. I opened the door and said, hi guys, what's up? They said, we're here on a call regarding your interactions with the female downstairs. And I said, are you talking about the incident from yesterday? They said, no, this is about today. She called dispatch about you 5 minutes ago. Can we please come in? I said, no, but we can go talk downstairs outside the apartment if you'd like. And I left the door open so the police could see me as I got a shirt on and came down with them. The police asked me what interaction I had with her that day, and I said none. I've never talked to this woman before in my life, which is the truth. Then they said she called dispatch and alleged, 1. That I was intoxicated. 2. That I had threatened her from my patio. 3. That she was a single mom with a kid. And 4. That we had a relationship together. This is a domestic dispute setup. I showed the cops the video footage of what I was doing for the past hour, literally chilling with my cat, giving him belly rubs and tidying up, recorded from 2 angles. They let me go in 5 minutes. On Tuesday, I went to the police department and got copies of both police incidents, as well as her full name from the incident. I also contacted a friend who is a county prosecutor and retained him as my lawyer to start work on a cease and desist letter. He mentioned she tried to set me up for a domestic dispute because our county has a rule where, if it's a domestic dispute, they can hold you for a minimum of 24 hours. I then went to management and alerted them that they have a tenant who's been pounding on my floor, providing all documentation, written notes, videos, and police reports. They did not give a crap. They literally said, but can we just all have a meeting about this? I'm sure we can work it out. At that moment, I knew how screwed I was. I've been a tenant here for 2 years, pleaded my case for 20 minutes to prove my innocence and how bad this other tenant was. And their main reply was, let's all have a meeting together, hee. So I said, sure, I'll bring my lawyer. We're just going to have to ask her why she falsely informed police that I threatened her, so we can pursue legal action against her. That shouldn't be a problem, right? They replied, oh no. No need to pay an attorney just to come to this. Freaking clown show. Throughout the rest of the week, I've barely been sleeping, maybe 2 or 3 hours a night. I'm just afraid of her saying something more extreme this time, like he's drunk and has a gun, and the cops kicking my door in and ending my existence. But all evidence is on my Google Drive shared with my lawyer, my family, and an ex that I'm on really good terms with. I've instructed them if I do get jailed or swatted over this, to sue everyone into oblivion. I've provided so much documentation, they'll have a strong case. My lawyer finished the cease and desist letter, which I'm sending to the gremlins below today via certified mail. Then I'll be pursuing symbolic damages via small claims, suing them for $5 for 5 different reasons, $1 a reason, then building a bigger lawsuit against them. I'll also be attempting to work with the police to get a charge against them for false informing. I have promised myself, and whatever entity is out there in this universe, that I will make this woman desolate for trying to ruin my name, frame me for something I didn't do, and potentially have me harmed by police. If it's the last freaking thing I do, I will pursue this to the furthest realm civilly and lawfully. For now, I am fully prepared to move if she does not move by the end of next week, since management is not doing anything. Your property managers suck and are knowingly allowing harassment and possibly endangerment. Bring your lawyer to talk to them too. Yeah, they're manipulative and idiotic. They said that the pounding noises are possibly the pipes. And I said, great, there are no pipes in the floors. Please send maintenance over and we can test that theory. At this point, they're trying to get me to leave the best they can, even though I've been a good tenant, never had a complaint before, and always paid rent on time for 2+ years. They get you to leave, and the next tenant above this monster of a woman may not take such a relaxed approach. Agreed, it's a highly risky situation for all parties. But all these idiots in management are concerned about is keeping both units filled and paying. Aside from that, they genuinely don't care about anything. I would go above the property managers. Find the owner. There's nothing worse than a pissed off owner who is paying a company to manage their property and they have to intervene. Even if the property manager is on staff? That's actually a solid idea because I've got to escalate this somehow. I would not sue 5 times for $1 each. That makes you look petty and unreasonable. File for a restraining order. When she violates it, she can be arrested and you can file for contempt. A cease and desist letter is a waste of time. It's symbolic damages to establish a trail in small claims. I still have the option to pursue a bigger lawsuit in the future. A restraining or protective order is highly unlikely to work, but I am filing for one today. The problem is, I don't have anything directly linking her to me, as we've never directly communicated, so it's hard to win. But I am hoping it works. Next story. Am I the a-hole for telling an autistic person that their disability isn't an excuse for not paying for services rendered? I work as a server in a restaurant. A couple of nights ago, I had a couple in their 30s come in around 2 a.m. As I took their order, the husband mentioned that all the food had to be on separate plates for his wife, as she is autistic and will not eat foods that share the same plate. They then proceeded to order. She wanted a kid's meal. However, restaurant policy states that kids' meals can only be bought for kids. I explained this policy and that everything on the kids' menu is available to adults for a slightly higher price. In total, it came out to about $1.50 more. The husband agreed, and I sent the order to the kitchen. We were a little busier than normal, as it was homecoming weekend and we had lots of big parties. About 20 minutes passed, and the husband flagged me down and stated that his wife was having a panic attack and they needed to pay for their drinks and leave. I asked for 1 second to make the kitchen aware that their order was no longer needed, and he agreed. When I went to the kitchen, I was told the food was already prepared, so I asked for it to be boxed to go. I returned to the floor and explained that the food had been prepared, and I was having it boxed to go for them. The wife then stated that, because of her panic attack, she would not be able to eat. I explained that I was sorry she had a panic attack, but as they had come into the restaurant, ordered the food, and it was already prepared, they would be expected to pay for the services rendered. However, I would comp their drinks if they would like. She then asked why she should have to pay for food she wouldn't be able to consume, and I simply stated that once the food was ordered and cooked, the company required compensation for services rendered, and that even if they were to stay in the restaurant and not eat any of the food and leave it at the table, they would still be expected to pay for what they ordered. She then reiterated that she had a panic attack and that I should have recognized she was having a medical episode, to which I replied that I am a server and not a trained medical provider, and that if she were being escorted out of the restaurant on a stretcher, then I would make an exception. But as she was currently speaking with me coherently, I failed to see how her medical condition warranted her not paying her bill. Today, I received a complaint they filed with our corporate office, saying that I discriminated against them by making them pay for food that the wife wouldn't be able to consume due to her having a panic attack induced by her autism. However, I would have done the same with any customer regardless of who they are. I actually think that making an exception for them solely because she is disabled would be a form of discrimination, as I would be treating her differently than I would treat others solely because of her disability. So my question is, am I the a-hole for not making an exception? Or did I do the right thing by having them pay for the food they ordered? So she had a panic attack but stayed in the restaurant to argue about not paying for her meal? That clearly was not an emergency. She sounds like a nightmare who is totally enabled by the husband. Not a panic attack. I've gotten them, and all I can think about is getting to a safe place, car and home, to let it run its course. My ability to argue with someone is nil because my brain is telling me to run away. Right? My panic attacks involve a lot of ugly crying, and I have no desire for anyone to see me, a middle-aged woman, absolutely meltdown. My first instinct is, girl, run. The shame of breaking down in public like that would only make the panic attack worse. Info. What does your manager say? If he says you were right, then he should back you up. If he says you were wrong, then you fall all over yourself with apologies, skipping the obvious fact that you acted in good faith and learn about the revised policy. My manager agrees with me. Corporate says we should have just comped the food. Since you got written communication from corporate, presumably that's going in your file. Maybe you can ask your manager to put something in the file that A, you are simply going with policy, and B, he agrees with how you handled the situation, not the a-hole. Luckily, I wasn't mentioned by name in the complaint, and my manager didn't sell me out. Last story. Am I the a-hole for letting my ex-stepdaughter keep a love nest? I, 48 male, have known my stepdaughter Lana, 18 female, since she was 6 years old when I got together with her mom, my ex, 38 female. I pretty much raised her as my own for almost 10 years, until it turned out that her mom was cheating on me with her ex, 41 male, all along. We divorced and she got back together with him. By then, Lana was 16. Lana has never liked her bio dad. He only really cared about his sons, her older and younger brothers, 21 and 16, and at the risk of sounding biased, has always been kind of a douche. Even when he would come to take his kids for something, more often than not, Lana would want to stay with her half-sister Jenny, 13 female, my daughter with her mom, and would let the boys just go off on their own. When the split happened, and her mom moved back in with her bio dad, there was immediate friction. He doesn't like anything about her personality or beliefs, and he's very traditional when it comes to gender roles. One thing in particular is that while he lets his sons date as they please, she was absolutely forbidden, as long as she lived under his roof. Exactly such an argument came up not that long ago, shortly after Lana turned 18, and she basically threw her things into a few bags/suitcases and stormed out of the house, having one of her friends pick her up. She ended up couch surfing for a while, until she asked me if I could help her out. She wanted a place to live, and I was happy to help her get on her feet. I let her move into a small apartment in one of my rental houses that was previously an Airbnb. She pays way under market rate, and I even let her skate a few times in ways that I know any other landlord wouldn't. She frequently has dates and friends over, and she obviously comes and goes as she pleases, without any sort of curfew. Somehow or another, my ex and her father seem to keep tabs on her, and they call or text me to complain whenever she won't talk to them. She works and goes to a local community college, and I figure that she's an adult, and her time is her own. The place is a short walk from my house, and Jenny visits all the time, or Lana will even come over here. It's worth noting that I have primary custody of Jenny, and that she didn't want to move and live with my ex and her partner either. My ex-wife has said that it's weird and inappropriate that I even maintain any kind of relationship with Lana at all, and she's especially upset that I am, in her words, letting her keep a love nest and helping her flout her real family's authority. As far as I'm concerned, I have told her before that I will be here for her, and she's an adult and has the right to make whatever decision she wants. Not the a-hole. She is your daughter, blood or no blood. Thank you. I really do feel the same. My dad, who died recently, wasn't my father by blood. I still love and miss him dearly. He took me in when I had nowhere to go and was the kindest person I've ever known. Just because you don't share blood doesn't mean you aren't family. Keeping a love nest. So where did she and the ex go when she was cheating on you? She needs to get off her imaginary high horse. The girl came to you for help after sofa surfing because she doesn't want to be near them. Would the mom rather her be on the streets than having somewhere safe? You're not the a-hole. They are.